I'm in my early 30s, and that means as a child I experienced many of the all-time greats, the classics, the foundations of timeless game design in their prime: Super Metroid, Final Fantasy VII, Doom, Ocarina of Time, Donkey Kong, all without really knowing how important they'd be years later. These games are often held up as pinnacles of game design, storytelling, or otherwise just being notable outliers in the gaming landscape at the time for a variety of reasons. So when I heard that Mercury Steam, not Nintendo, would be working on this installment of Metroid, I had my doubts. When the credits rolled on Metroid Dread, I sat back and thought, damn, I just experienced a classic. Make no mistake, Metroid Dread earns its place among the pantheon of greats. While I fully understand this opinion may not be held by others, I believe Metroid Dread stands toe-to-toe with Super Metroid as a pinnacle within the Metroid series. Of course, nothing can come close to touching Metroid Prime Pinball, but we didn't expect Dread to be that good, did we? Metroid Dread is the fifth and final chronological game in the current Metroid series. While Dread directly follows the plot of Metroid Fusion, I have no hesitation in recommending this game to first-time Metroid players. While being familiar with the other games helps the later story reveals resonate a little deeper, it's quite approachable with minimal knowledge. Following a brief plot summary of the prior titles, the player sees bounty hunter Samus Aran touch down on planet ZDR to investigate the mysterious reappearance of the X-parasites that threaten the galaxy. Shortly after, Samus is attacked by an imposing figure that leaves her stuck underground and stripped of all her powers, again for the 5th or 6th or 7th time now. This setup starts us on our journey to the surface, learning or relearning abilities to unlock new areas, uncover new secrets, and fight stronger enemies. It's a classic Metroid setup through and through. Even without upgrades, movement is so slick. Mercury Steam, who also worked on Metroid 2 Remake, have really dialed in on Samus' speed and momentum. Samus shlooms through areas with such precision. I don't think I've ever played a game that felt this good to just move around in. The first time you slide under a low passage and pinball yourself off the side of a wall to escape during one of the many exhilarating chase sequences is downright thrilling. And I think Mercury Steam have listened to a lot of the feedback about their last attempt at a Metroid game because it feels a hell of a lot better here. For example, Samus Return's counter mechanic was jarring. It really got in the way of the cadence Metroid has. You stop, wait, counter, then continue. It broke up the flow of the game, and movement felt stilted because of it. With Dread, there's a good sense of momentum behind the counter as well as the movement, leaving you to blast away enemies quickly after. This is all to say Metroid Dread is fast. It's definitely faster than any other Metroid game to date, except Metroid Prime Pinball. And it's so much more satisfying because of it. This is how I imagine Samus would move, and now we have a Metroid game on a system capable of demonstrating that. Morphball also has a satisfying little plunk sound that I just love.
Another one. Another one. Another one.
The chase sequences are at the core of the experience, and as the title of the game would suggest, they are terrifying. Here, movement becomes more calculated as you evade the DNA extracting death machines known as extraplanetary multiform mobile identifiers, or just EMMIs. These moments very much mirror Metroid Fusion's stealth sections and require you to mix careful platforming and forward thinking to escape unharmed. These machines cannot be damaged with conventional weapons and will very likely destroy Samus if they come into contact with her. Each EMMI represents a unique power-up that you can obtain if you make it through their domain and return with a temporarily upgraded arm cannon.
You talking to me, bitch?
While these sections can be difficult, or even prone to a little bit of trial and error at times, checkpoints are very forgiving, allowing you to dive back in after each attempt. The reward is turning the hunters into the hunted.
Ironic, isn't it? The hunter has become the hunted.
It's a neat way to shift the power around, and each encounter left my heartbeat rocketing. As you obtain these upgrades, more and more of the map becomes available. While I found the map a little hard to read at times, it's mostly good at helping you know where to go next. I do feel like some of the icons could have been a bit clearer or maybe just smaller, and the new way of uncovering visible areas as a percentage and not as a binary made it a little bit cluttered. The actual level design here goes a long way to make you feel like you're progressing steadily though. When you get a new upgrade, you can select on the map all previously found objects that can be interacted with this. This makes it pretty easy to know where to go next, as you don't have to manually look around for missed doorways or destructible blocks. I also found the levels funneled you towards the next goal, making it difficult to end up aimlessly exploring in an attempt to find the next objective. While backtracking can be helpful to uncover extra energy tanks and missile capacity upgrades, I mostly followed the path ahead of me and that led me to the next boss encounter or story beat. I actually really like this design because I feel like it minimized a lot of the tedium that can come with these games. Yeah, I know some people enjoy a more open-ended game, but when the action is this good, I just wanted to see the next cool new boss and find out what on earth was happening in this game. It's gripping enough that I enjoyed being nudged along by the level design rather than feeling lost and confused. I've spoken to some people who prefer the more open-ended design philosophy, so I understand if this isn't to your liking. Boss encounters are fantastic. While quite punishing to begin with, they often have fairly obvious solutions or weak points. Where I felt previous games tended to overload you with obstacles or bullets making energy upgrades crucial, Dread often has large telegraphed attacks that swipe large chunks off your health bar. Most bosses require a few attempts for me to beat, but once I understood what they were doing, the fights felt like a carefully orchestrated dance as I lined up shots and predicted the next attack. The difficulty does spike a little near the end, but if you approach it as an encounter to learn rather than simply react to, it becomes an incredibly satisfying process. Above all else, my favourite thing about Metroid Dread is utterly subjective. They gave Samus some goddamn attitude.
Nice.
A lot can be said about Samus being an intergalactic badass, brave and firm in her mission, but I've never really felt it until this game. She's had it. She's absolutely fucking had it, and you can tell. This is her 5th mission, she's lost her powers too many times now, the X-Parasites are back, and she's done. Just look at how she carries herself here. Look at that confidence, look how badass she is. Do you know how many times I was yelling and fist pumping throughout this game? For a self-insert character who's historically said very little, we don't talk about other M, Dread has given her some of the most personality of any Nintendo character in recent years, and I love it. This game made me care for Samus more than any other game because her body language was so visibly mean. And they say graphics don't matter, these animations alone tell so much of a story. What's more, it's just all the little things. Samus is animated so nicely during the gameplay too. The way she reaches up to touch walls and shifts her weight around while she aims, it's all top notch. So all in all, I adored Metroid Dread. It was traditional yet bold. It told an interesting story while maintaining respect for the games that came before it. While Mercury Steam may not have the level of sheer game design mastery Nintendo displayed when creating Super Metroid, I think they excel in other areas. So no, it's not as perfect as Super Metroid, and I honestly don't think many games can be. However, Metroid Dread successfully modernizes the formula while keeping true to its roots. It's faster, it's less tedious, and maybe it's a little bit more heavy-handed in ways, but I genuinely enjoyed my time with it. When I think back to the times I've beaten Super Metroid over the years, I always have lulls in my game time where I feel a little bit directionless or like I need to take a break. Maybe it's the age of the game speaking, and maybe it's a little bit of recency bias with Dread as well, but I never felt it here. Metroid Dread feels like what Super Metroid would be if it was created today, and it's a must play if you own a Nintendo Switch.